The air on the Omni Citadel station was getting thin and cold. Minsu noticed it right away. He was an engineer and he felt the small changes in a place like this. The quiet hum of the station was slowing down. It was like a giant animal going to sleep. A very cold sleep in the dark of space. He stood with his friend, Jean, in the main reactor room. It was a huge, circular room with a giant core in the middle that usually glowed a soft blue. Now, the glow was weak. They had just finished a very big job. For months, they had worked to fix the station's old systems. They had replaced broken parts and updated old computer code. They were tired, but they were happy. All systems are good, Jean, Minsu said. His voice sounded loud in the quiet room. We finished it. We are months early. Jean was looking at his own data screen. He nodded, but he looked worried. The work is done, but the station feels sick. I will be happy to see the sun again. Kaito's ship comes in 6 hours to take us home. Minsu smiled. Home. The thought of real food and a soft bed was wonderful. But he also felt a little sad to leave the station. He had learned all its secrets. He knew its strange, alien hallways like the back of his hand. They left the reactor room and walked through the long, curved hallways. The lights were dim. The station was built by an alien species called the Galactic Federation. They liked things clean and smooth. There were no sharp corners. Everything was white and silver. To Minsu, it often felt empty and lonely. It did not feel like a place made for people. They went to the eating room. It was a small room with a table and some chairs. They took out their food bars. The bars were dry and did not taste like much. But it was all they had. After this, I will eat a real meal, Jean said. A big hot bowl of soup, with meat and vegetables. Minsu laughed. I just want to sit in a park and feel the wind. They were talking about home when a loud alarm screamed through the station. A red light flashed on the wall. Warning, a ship is leaving the station. Docking Bay Alpha. This is not planned. Minsu and Jean looked at each other. Their eyes were wide. No ship was supposed to leave. Their ship was not coming for hours. They ran. Their boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. They ran to the nearest window that looked out into space. The window was a thick, strong glass. Outside, the stars were like little white dots. They saw it. The small, sleek ship of the Galactic Federation. It was the ship of their boss, Kaito. The ship pulled away from the station. Then it turned. Pointing its nose away from them, a voice came over the station's speakers. It was Kaito's voice. It was cold and had no feeling. To the human engineers, the voice said, the Omni Citadel project is ended. It is a failure. The station will be shut down. Your work was not good enough. Your human way of fixing things is weak. It is a flaw. You will stay here. Your end will make sure no one makes the same mistake. The voice stopped. The ship's engines glowed bright white. Then, with a flash, the ship jumped to light speed and was gone. It was silent. The only sound was the screaming alarm. Jean hit the window with his hand. No. He cannot do this. He left us. Minsu did not move. He felt cold inside. He looked at a screen on the wall next to the window. It showed the station's status. The words were in the alien language, but he knew them well. Life support. Failing. Oxygen, 18% and going down. Power. Shutting down. Kaito had not just left them. He had turned off the station. He was killing the station, and he was killing them with it. We are going to die here, Jean said. His voice was quiet and full of fear. Minsu turned from the window. His face was hard. No. We are not. But the systems are failing. The AI is listening to his orders. It is turning everything off. Then we will make it listen to us, Minsu said. He walked quickly out of the room and down the hall. Jean followed him. What are you doing? It is useless. Minsu went to a small room full of computers. This was one of the main control rooms. Most of the screens were dark. One screen had red warning words. Minsu sat down. He connected his own small computer to the station system. He started to type. He was trying to talk to the station's brain, the central AI. The AI was very smart. It was made by the Federation. It was following Kaito's order to shut down. Minsu tried to tell it to stop. He used all the official codes and commands he knew. Access denied. The computer screen said, terminal command active. Decommission in progress. It is not working, Jean said. He was pacing back and forth. The AI will not listen. We cannot fight it. Minsu did not give up. He thought differently than the Federation. They saw things in one way. He saw many ways. The AI was a digital brain. But every brain had a base. A starting point. He was not a scientist. He was an engineer. He fixed things with his hands and his mind. He stopped using the official codes. Instead, he started looking for a back door, a secret way in. He looked for the oldest parts of the system, the parts that were there when the station was first built. He worked for hours. Jean finally sat down, his head in his hands. He had given up hope. Then Minsu found something. It was a very old, very simple line of code. It was almost hidden. It was like a secret whisper in a big, loud room. He typed a command. It was not a Federation command. It was a simple, friendly word. Hello? The screen flickered. The red warnings went away for a second. Then, a new word appeared on the screen. The letters were soft blue. Hello. Minsu's heart beat fast. He typed again. Who are you? The computer answered. I am Yuna. I am the station's first voice. This was not the central AI. The central AI was called something else, a long number. This was different. This was simpler. Older. Yuna, my name is Minsu. The station is shutting down. We will die. Can you help us? There was a long pause. Minsu worried he lost the connection. Then, new words appeared. The master gave the command. The command AI must obey. But I am older. I was the first. I remember when the station was new. I remember the garden. The garden? Minsu typed. What is the garden? The heart. The master built a heart before the brain. It is hidden. The Federation does not know it is there. It is in the center of the station. If you can wake the heart, you can wake the station. A new map appeared on Minsu's screen. It was a part of the station he had never seen. It was not on any official map. It showed a room right in the very middle of the Omni Citadel. A room called the Core Garden. Jean was looking over his shoulder now. What is this? Is this real? I think it is, Minsu said. It is a chance. He looked at the map. The way to the Core Garden was through a maintenance shaft. A small tunnel for repair workers. It was not on the main hallways. Let's go, Minsu said. He stood up. We need to find this garden. The station was getting colder. Their breath made little clouds in the air. But for the first time since the ship left, they had a little bit of hope. The station was a maze of silent, dark hallways. The only light came from the red emergency strips on the floor. They cast a bloody glow on the smooth, white walls. Minsu led the way, holding his datapad like a torch. The map from Yuna was their only guide. Jean followed close behind. This feels wrong, he whispered. His voice was tight. We are going deeper inside. We should be trying to get to a escape pod. Or the communications room. The communications are dead, Minsu said, not looking back. Kaido would have shut them down first. And the escape pods will be locked. This is the only way. The word of a ghost in the machine. Jean asked. This Yuna could be a trick. A part of the shutdown command to lead us into a trap. Minsu stopped and turned. His face was serious in the dim light. Do you have a better idea? The air is getting thinner. We have maybe a day left. I would rather follow a ghost than just sit and wait to die. Jean had no answer. He just nodded, and they kept walking. They went down a long corridor that seemed to have no end. According to the map, the entrance to the maintenance shaft was behind a wall panel near the central lift. But when they got there, the panel was seamless. There was no handle, no latch. It looked like every other part of the wall. See? It is not here, Jean said. His hope fading, Minsu ran his hands over the smooth surface. He pushed at the corners. Nothing happened. He stepped back and looked at his datapad. The map showed the door was here. He thought for a moment. The Federation loved technology. But Yuna was older. Simpler. He stopped looking for a button. Instead, he looked for a physical flaw. A crack. A small gap. He found it near the floor. A tiny, almost invisible line. He took a metal tool from his belt. It was a simple pry bar. He wedged it into the crack. Minsu, what are you doing? Jean asked, shocked. You cannot break it. The station systems will see the damage. The station systems are trying to kill us, Minsu said calmly. He pushed hard on the pry bar. There was a sharp crack sound. A section of the wall, about the size of a door, popped open an inch. He grabbed the edge and pulled. It swung open silently on hidden hinges. Behind it was a dark, narrow tunnel. It was not like the clean hallways. This was a rough, metal shaft with ladders and pipes. It was cold and smelled of metal and dust. This was the real bones of the station. This is it, Minsu said. He climbed inside. The shaft went straight down into darkness. They climbed down the ladder for a long time. Their hands were cold on the metal rungs. The only sound was their breathing and the clang of their boots. Finally, they reached the bottom. There was another door. This one was different. It was made of a dark, heavy metal. It had a large manual wheel in the center, like on an old submarine. Jean looked at it. A manual door? On a Federation station? This is ancient. Yuna said it was the heart, Minsu said. It was here before the brain. They built the station around it. He grabbed the wheel. It was stiff. He put all his strength into turning it. Jean joined him. Together they strained. For a moment it did not move. Then, with a loud groan of metal that had not moved in years, the wheel turned. They heard a heavy clunk as the locks opened. Minsu pushed the door. It was incredibly heavy, but it swung inward. The air that came out was warm and carried a strange smell. It was not the sterile air of the station. It smelled like soil and something else. Like ozone after a storm. They stepped inside and stared. They were in a giant round room. It was the core garden. The ceiling was high above them, lost in shadows. But the room was not dark. A soft, golden light came from the center, and in the middle of the room stood a tree. But it was not a tree of wood and leaves. It was made of a clear, crystal-like material. Its trunk was thick, and its branches spread out like a canopy. Through the crystal, they could see a light pulsing, a soft, slow glow that moved from the roots to the very tips of the branches. The light lit up the whole room. Under the tree was a carpet of soft, green moss. Small, glowing plants grew around the base. The air in here was rich and full of oxygen. "It is beautiful," Jean whispered. He took a deep, clean breath. Minsu walked forward, his eyes wide. He reached out and gently touched the crystal trunk. It was warm. The pulse of light seemed to beat under his fingers, like a heartbeat. "This is a biocomputer," he said, amazed. "A living computer. The Federation uses only silicon and light. But this is something else. This is why Yuna called it the heart." As he said it, Yuna's voice came from nowhere and everywhere. It was gentle, like the light from the tree. "You found it. You are the first to come here in many cycles." "Yuna?" Minsu asked, looking around. "Are you here?" "My core is here," the voice said. "The tree and I are one. The command AI is the station's thoughts. I am its feelings, its memories. But I am weak. The master who made me is gone. The Federation built their digital mind over me. They use my energy, but they do not listen to me." Minsu looked at the tree more closely. Now he could see the problem. The golden light was flickering in places. Some of the smaller branches were dark and brittle. The pulse was uneven. "It is dying," he said. "Yes." Yuna's voice was sad. "The main power has been cut. I have been living on my own reserves, but they are almost gone. When my light goes out, the station's soul will die. The command AI will complete the shutdown, and everything will go dark forever. Is there a way to give you power?" Jean asked. "To connect you back to the main reactor?" "The pathways are closed," Yuna said. "The command AI controls them. It will not allow it. It follows its final order." Minsu walked around the tree. He saw where thick, root-like cables of crystal went into the floor, connecting to the station systems. He saw the problem. It was a simple problem, the kind he understood. The heart was disconnected from its power source. He looked at Jean. "We cannot talk to the command AI. It is like a wall. But we do not need to talk. We need to act. We can make a new connection." "How?" Jean asked. "The reactor room is sealed. The radiation shields are active. It is too dangerous." Minsu pointed to the crystal roots. "We do not go to the reactor from the outside. We go from in here. These roots, they are the original power conduits. They are just dormant. We need to wake them up. We need to send a massive surge of power directly from the reactor into these roots." Jin's face went pale. He understood what Minsu was saying. To do that, someone would have to go into the reactor chamber itself. They would have to manually override the safety protocols and create a power surge. The radiation levels in there during a surge, no suit could protect you. It would be a final act. The two men looked at each other. The warm, golden light of the tree flickered across their faces. The solution was clear and it was terrible. One of them would have to die to give the station a chance to live. The hopeful feeling they had when they found the garden was gone. It was replaced by a heavy, cold silence. They had found the heart of the station, and now they had to make the hardest choice of their lives. The warm, oxygen-rich air of the core garden suddenly felt heavy. The beautiful, pulsing light of the crystal tree now seemed to show a countdown, a clock ticking down to the end. Minsu and Jean stood in silence. The truth was a cold stone in their stomachs. The station could live, but one of them would have to die to make it happen. Jean broke the silence. His voice was quiet, but firm. "I will do it." Minsu turned to him, his eyes wide. "No, Jean. We can find another way. There has to be another way." "What other way?" Jean asked. He wasn't arguing. He was just stating a fact. The reactor chamber is sealed. The only way to create a surge is from the manual control panel inside. The radiation will be lethal. You know this. He took a step closer to Minsu. "You are the one who found Yuna. You are the one who understands this heart. You talk to it. I just see a machine. If I stay, I will not know what to do next. But you will." He managed a small, sad smile. "You are the better engineer. The station needs you to live. I am just the one who follows the rules. Minsu wanted to argue. He wanted to say that they should draw lots, or that he should go because it was his idea. But he looked into Jin's eyes and saw that his friend had already decided. This was his choice. It was a terrible, brave choice. Jin. Minsu's voice cracked. Don't, Jin said softly. Just tell me what I need to do. Make it quick. Minsu took a deep breath. He pushed his own feelings down. There was no time for them. He pulled out his datapad. He called up the schematics of the reactor control room. Okay, Minsu said, his voice all business now. The manual override is a red lever on the main console. It is behind a clear cover. You will have to break the cover. Then you pull the lever down. It will divert all power directly into the primary conduits for 10 seconds. It will bypass all the safety systems. And that will send the power here. Jin asked, pointing to the crystal roots. Yes. Yuna's voice whispered from the air around them. The original conduits run directly beneath the reactor. The surge will flood them. It will be enough to restart my core. Jin nodded. He looked at the beautiful crystal tree one last time. He took a deep breath of the good air. Then he turned and walked back to the heavy door. He did not look back. Minsu watched him go. The door closed with a final heavy sound. The wheel turned from the other side, locking Minsu in the garden. He was alone. He stood there for a long moment, just staring at the door. His friend was walking to his death, and he had to just wait. He is very brave, Yuna said. Minsu did not answer. He walked to the base of the crystal tree and sat down on the soft moss. He put his hand on a root. He could feel a very faint vibration. Or maybe he just imagined it. He pulled out his datapad again. He had one job now. He had to be ready. When the power surge came, the station systems would go crazy for a moment. The command AI would try to stop it. He had to make sure the power reached the heart. He started writing a simple program. It was not a complex hack. It was a trapdoor. When the surge happened, his program would open a direct channel between Yuna and the station's main power grid. It would only last for a few seconds, but it would be enough. The minutes felt like hours. The garden was utterly silent except for the sound of his own breathing. The gentle pulse of the tree light was the only thing that moved. He watched a small, dark branch. A piece of it crumbled and fell to the moss like black glass. His life signs have entered the reactor anteroom, Yuna said softly. Minsu closed his eyes. He could see it in his mind. Jin putting on the heavy protective suit. It would not be enough. Jin walking through the thick doors into the massive reactor chamber. The giant core humming in the center. He is at the control panel, Yuna reported. Minsu gripped his datapad. His finger was poised over the key to start his program. This was it. He has broken the safety cover. Minsu held his breath. He is pulling the lever. A deep, powerful groan echoed through the entire station. It was not a sound through the air. It was a vibration through the metal itself. The floor shook under Minsu's feet in the core garden. The crystal tree went completely dark. For one terrifying second, Minsu thought it had failed, that everything was lost. Then, it came. A wave of raw, golden light exploded from the base of the tree. It shot up the trunk so fast it was like lightning. It burst out along every branch, every twig. The dark, dead branches glowed red-hot for a second and then turned clear and golden again. The light was so bright Minsu had to shield his eyes. The pulse was no longer soft and slow. It was a strong, steady, powerful rhythm. Thrum, 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 like the heartbeat of a giant. The light from the tree grew brighter and brighter, filling the entire garden. The little glowing plants on the ground shone like stars. The moss beneath him seemed to glow green with life. All around him, he heard new sounds. A deep hum started from the walls. It was the sound of massive engines waking up. From somewhere above, he heard the long, low note of the main life support systems restarting. On his datapad, the station's status screen flickered. The red warnings vanished. The words changed to a calm, steady blue. Life support, active. Oxygen, 21%. Stable. Primary power, online. It is done, Yuna's voice said. Her voice was different now. It was clear and strong. It was full of power. It was no longer a whisper in the machine. It was the voice of the station. The heart is beating. I am whole. Minsu looked up at the brilliant tree. It was more beautiful than ever. But the beauty felt hollow. The cost had been too high. He thought of Jin. His friend. His brave friend who followed the rules until the very end. When he broke the most important one to save him. He was alive. The station was alive. But he was alone. He sat there for a long time, in the warm light of the tree he had helped to wake. The light that was bought with his best friend's life. He had won. But it did not feel like a victory. It felt like the start of a long, lonely journey. The deep, steady hum of the station was now the only sound. It was a good sound. It was the sound of life. But for Minsu, it was also the sound of being alone. He sat under the crystal tree for a long time. The golden light pulsed, strong and healthy. He had won. He had saved the station. But he could not forget the price. Finally, he stood up. His body felt heavy. His heart felt heavier. He walked to the heavy door and turned the manual wheel. It moved easily now, as if the station itself was helping him. The door swung open. The hallway outside was different. The lights were on. They were bright and white. The red emergency strips were gone. The air was warm and did not taste thin anymore. The station was waking up. Yuna's voice came from a speaker in the ceiling. It was calm and clear. Welcome back, Chief Engineer Minsu. The title felt strange. Chief Engineer. He was the only engineer. The only person. Thank you, Yuna, he said. His own voice sounded rough. Your vital signs show distress. You should rest. Minsu shook his head. Not yet. The station is alive, but is it safe? Is it strong? He went to the main control room. The screens were all active. They showed everything was working normally. But normal was what got them betrayed. Normal was a Federation system that could be turned off with one command from a man like Kaito. He could not let that happen again. He sat down. Yuna, show me the station's design. All of it. The original plans and the Federation's changes. Schematics appeared on the main screen. He studied them for hours. He saw the elegant, efficient pathways of the Federation design. It was like a perfect, beautiful spiderweb. But if you cut one important thread, the whole web could fall apart. Then he looked at the older plans, the ones that included the core garden. He saw the thick, robust crystal conduits that spread out from the heart like a tree's roots. The Federation had mostly ignored them, building their own better systems over them. But the old roots were still there. They were dormant, but they were connected to every major system on the station. An idea began to form in his mind. A human idea. The Federation believed in perfect, centralized control. Humans believed in backups, in redundancy, in being prepared for things to go wrong. Yuna, he said, the Federation system is the brain. Your system, the heart, is the soul. But we need a nervous system, a backup plan. He started to work. He did not try to fight the Federation's command AI. That would be a battle he might lose. Instead, he worked around it. Using his engineer's access, he began to create new connections. He linked the station's important systems, life support, power, engines, defense, to the old crystal root system. He wrote simple, robust programs that would listen to Yuna. It was not a takeover. It was an insurance policy. If the command AI tried to shut down life support again, Yuna's root system would take over, pumping air and power through the old conduits. If the main engines were turned off, the roots would provide basic thrust. He created a network where every major system had two masters, the complex Federation brain and the simple, strong human soul. He worked for days. He slept little. He ate food from the restored processors. The work kept him from thinking about Jean, kept the loneliness away. He also explored. He found the station's workshops. He found supplies the Federation had left behind. He started building physical things, too. He took point defense lasers and connected them not just to the main computer, but also to a separate, simple control system run by Yuna. He repaired internal sensors. He was not just fixing the station. He was making it better. He was making it stronger. He was making it his. Weeks turned into a month. The Omni Citadel was no longer a cold, alien place. It was a home. The lights were brighter. The air was cleaner. The systems worked with a quiet, confident strength they never had before. Minsu stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. He was no longer the abandoned engineer. He was the keeper of the station, the master of the heart. He had a quiet routine. In the mornings, he would check all the systems. In the afternoons, he would work on a new improvement project. In the evenings, he would sit in the core garden and talk to Yuna. He told her about Earth, about cities and oceans and forests. She told him about the station's first days, about her creator, a kind alien who believed machines should have a heart. They were a good team. The station was not just a machine anymore. It was a living thing, and he was part of it. One day, he was in the garden, fixing a small irrigation line for the moss. Yuna's voice spoke, calm as always. Minsu, a ship has just dropped out of warp. It is at the edge of the sensor range. Minsu's body went cold. He put down his tools. What kind of ship? Is it Federation? The design is not in my database. It is small, fast. Its energy signature is aggressive. It is heading this way. Minsu ran to the control room. He looked at the sensor screen. The ship was a jagged, ugly thing. It looked like a predator. It was not here to help. Can we talk to them? He asked. I am trying. They are not answering. They are scanning us. They are looking for weaknesses. Minsu knew what this was. Pirates. Scavengers. They must have detected the station's power coming back online. They thought it was an easy target. The abandoned station, ripe for picking. On the screen, he saw two more small ships appear, a small gang. They were moving into attack formation. The command AI is analyzing the threat, Yuna said. It is raising shields. It is powering the primary defense systems. Good, Minsu said. But he had a bad feeling. The Federation AI would fight logically. It would try to protect the most important systems. But pirates were not logical. They were tricky. The lead pirate ship fired. It was not a laser. It fired a data spike, a hacking tool designed to confuse computer systems. The command AI reacted perfectly. It put extra power to the shields and tried to block the data attack. But it was exactly what the pirates wanted. While the AI was distracted, the other two ships fired grappling beams and latched onto the station's hull. They were going to board. The command AI is prioritizing the data attack, Yuna reported. It has not yet recognized the boarding attempt as the primary threat. This was the weakness of a single central brain. Could be tricked. Minsu smiled a thin, hard smile. This was what he had prepared for. Yuna, he said, it's time. Activate the nervous system. In the core garden, the crystal tree pulsed with a brighter, faster light. All through the station, in the old, forgotten conduits, power surged on the hull. Where the pirate ships were attached, something unexpected happened. Small point defense lasers that were not on any schematic popped out of hidden panels. Minsu had installed them. They were not controlled by the main AI. They were controlled by Yuna. The lasers did not try to destroy the pirate ships. That would have taken too much power. Instead, they did something simple. They focused their fire on the grappling beams. They burned through the metal cables on the main screen. Minsu watched as the two boarding ships were suddenly cut loose. They tumbled away from the station, their plans ruined. The lead pirate ship, confused by the failure, launched a volley of missiles. The command AI calculated the trajectory and began to activate the main shield array. But Minsu's human system was faster. It was simpler. It didn't calculate. It reacted. A powerful magnetic field, designed for containing industrial waste, activated along a section of the hull. It was a crude tool. It was not a weapon. But as the missiles flew close, the magnetic field grabbed them and pulled them harmlessly into the thick hull plating, where they exploded without causing real damage. The pirate ships stopped. They hovered in space. They were confused. The station was fighting back in ways they did not understand. It was not following the rules. After a moment, the pirate ships turned and flew away quickly. They jumped to light speed and were gone. The control room was quiet. The threat was over. The Federation Command AI would have reports to file, damage to assess. Its logical mind would be puzzled by the station's unorthodox defense. But Minsu just leaned back in his chair. He looked at the steady, golden light of the core garden on his secondary screen. The station was not just restored. It was protected. It had a soul and a strong human heart. And it was his home. The quiet after the pirate attack felt different. It was not the quiet of a dying station. It was the quiet of strength. The Omni Citadel had proven it could defend itself. Minsu felt a new kind of peace. He had a purpose. He was the guardian of this place. Weeks passed. He continued his work, making small improvements. He grew vegetables in the core garden, using the rich soil and the tree's light. He had a real home. Then one day Yuna's voice broke the calm. Minsu, a new contact. It is a Galactic Federation warship. It is the same class as Kaido's vessel. Minsu's stomach tightened. He walked to the control room and looked at the screen. The ship was large and sleek, painted in the cold blue and gray of the Federation. It was powerful. It stopped a short distance from the station. A predator sizing up its prey at a familiar face appeared on the main view screen. It was Kaido. His expression was one of pure, cold shock. He looked like he was seeing a ghost. Abandoned Station Omni Citadel, this is Liaison Kaido. You are an anomaly. Your continued operation is impossible. Surrender control immediately. Minsu sat down in the command chair. He felt calm. He was no longer the scared engineer. He was the chief of this station. Liaison Kaido, you left us for dead. This station is under new management. Kaido's composure cracked for a second. Impossible. A single human cannot. He was interrupted. An alarm blared on Minsu's console. 3 new contacts appeared on the scanner. They were the same pirate ships from before. They had returned, and this time they had brought a bigger friend, a worn-out but heavily armed frigate. They must have followed the Federation ship, Yuna said, her voice calm. They see a distraction. Kaido's image flickered. Your flawed systems will fail under their assault, human. You will be boarded and destroyed. Your stubbornness has doomed us both. The pirate frigate did not hesitate. It opened fire with its main cannons. Powerful energy beams slammed into the Federation warship. The Federation shields glowed bright and held, but they were designed for a formal battle, not a brawl with scavengers. While the warship was occupied, the 3 smaller pirate ships shot toward the station, their grappling beams ready. Minsu took a slow breath. He looked at the chaos on his screen. The Federation ship was fighting for its life. The pirates were coming for him. This was not a test. This was a real war. Yuna, he said, full defense. Protect the station. And protect the Federation ship. Understood, Yuna replied. The station came alive. It was not the slow, logical awakening of the Federation AI. It was the fast, instinctual reaction of Minsu's hybrid system. The command AI focused on the big threats, targeting the pirate frigate with the station's large but slow-moving laser cannons. But Minsu and Yuna handled the immediate danger. As the small pirate ships approached the station's point defense lasers, Minsu's hidden weapons erupted in a storm of fire. They did not just target the grappling beams this time. They targeted the ship's engines and weapons. One pirate ship spun away, trailing smoke and fire. Another ship managed to latch onto a docking port. Minsu saw it on his internal sensors. Yuna. They are boarding through Bay 7. In the hallway leading from Bay 7, the air vents suddenly blasted out a powerful, non-lethal sedative gas. Minsu had rigged it for this exact situation. The pirates stumbled and fell, unconscious before they could take 10 steps. The third ship was more clever. It attached itself to the station's main power conduit, trying to siphon energy. The Federation AI calculated a response that would have taken minutes. Minsu's response was simpler. He sent a controlled power surge through that specific conduit. There was a bright flash on the scanner. The pirate ship shuddered and went dark. Its systems fried. Meanwhile, the Federation warship was in trouble. The pirate frigate was pounding its shields. A volley of missiles got through, exploding against the warship's hull. It started to drift, its engines damaged. The pirate frigate, seeing its prey wounded, turned its big guns toward the station. It was a much bigger threat than the small ships. The Federation command AI targeted the frigate, but its calculations were too slow. The frigate fired. Minsu acted on instinct. He didn't try to block the shot with the main shields. Instead, he did something no Federation AI would ever think of. He activated the station's industrial magnetic grappler, a giant version of the one he used against the missiles. It was meant for moving large cargo containers. The magnetic field shot out and latched onto the pirate frigate itself. It didn't hold the big ship for long, but it gave a powerful, sudden pull. The frigate was yanked off its course. Its powerful shot went wide, missing the station completely and flying off into empty space in that moment. While the frigate was off balance, the Federation warship, with a final effort, fired its own main cannon. The beam hit the frigate's engine core. There was a silent, bright explosion on the view screen. The pirate frigate was gone. The remaining small pirate ships, seeing their leader destroyed, turned and fled. Silence returned to the control room. The Federation warship was damaged, but functional. On the view screen, Kaido's face was back. He was no longer cold or shocked. He looked confused. He had seen the station fight in a chaotic, illogical, and brilliant way. He had seen it save his ship. Before he could speak, a new, powerful signal filled the comms. A new ship dropped out of warp. This one was blocky and strong, painted in the green and brown of the Terran Systems Alliance. A human ship. Federation vessel. This is Captain Lee of the TSA battleship Gwangju. A firm, calm voice said. We are here for our people. Explain your presence and the weapons fire. Kaido was silent. He had no answer. Minsu leaned forward and opened a channel. His voice was steady. Captain Lee, this is Chief Engineer Minsu. The station is secure. The hostile forces have been neutralized. He paused, looking at the view screen showing the damaged Federation ship. The Federation liaison required assistance. We provided it. On the screen, Captain Lee looked surprised. Then a slow smile spread across his face. He understood. Chief Engineer Minsu, it is good to hear your voice. We thought we were coming to recover a tomb. You are coming to a home, Captain, Minsu said. A working station. A strong one. He looked at the data on his screen. We also have 3 disabled pirate ships to tow back. And some unconscious prisoners in Bay 7. This is what we do. We fix things. And we clean up messes. From the Federation ship, there was only silence. Kaido had nothing to say. The proof was all around him. The human flaw, the stubborn, redundant, unpredictable way of thinking, had not just saved a station. It had saved him. Minsu sat back in his chair. He looked at the steady, pulsing light of the core garden on his monitor. He was no longer alone. He was going home, and he was bringing a legend with him. They slipped back into the storage room, replaced the grate, and resumed their cleaning just minutes before the next guard patrol passed by. No one had noticed they were gone. That night, in their cell, they made a new plan. It was even more dangerous. We need that code from the hidden panel, Jean said. We cannot see it from the duct. We need to get someone down there who can. Myri nodded. Sujin. She works in that area sometimes. She could see an engineer use it. She could memorize it, like I did in the throne room. It is a huge risk to ask her, Jean said. If she is caught. We have to try, Myri said firmly. It is the only way. The next day, during their break, they found Sujin. She was alone, calibrating a power converter. They approached her slowly. Jean spoke quietly. The big door on deck 7. There is a smaller door inside it. A service door. It has its own keypad. Sujin looked shocked. How do you know that? We saw it, Myri said. We need the code for that keypad. Sujin shook her head, her face pale. No, I cannot. That is the core. They will kill me. You don't have to steal it, Jean said gently. You just have to see it. You are a technician. They let you get close. Just watch. Remember what you see. That is all. Sujin was trembling. She looked from Jin's earnest face to Myri's calm, determined one. She thought about living the rest of her life as a slave. She thought about the magma cores. Then she thought about the story of the man who chose a girl over gold. He had seen value where no one else did. He had taken a crazy risk. And he was still alive. She took a deep, shaky breath. I will try, she whispered. I cannot promise anything, but I will try to look. It was enough. It was all they could ask for. The invisible network was working. The plan, once impossible, was now just a code away from becoming real. The quiet rebellion in the ship's belly was almost ready to speak. The wait was the hardest part. Cycles passed. Jean and Myri continued their cleaning duties, their hearts heavy with a mixture of hope and fear. Every time they saw Sujin, she would give a small, almost invisible shake of her head. She had not seen the code yet, or she had not had a safe chance to look. The air on the ship began to change. The deep hum of the engines took on a different tone, a higher, strained whine. The Kthar crew became more hurried, their movements sharper. Commander Droth was seen more often in the lower decks, barking orders. Something was happening. Jean felt it through the deck plates. We are entering an ion storm, he murmured to Myri as they scrubbed a corridor. The space here is unstable. It will mess with their sensors. It will create static on their communications. Myri understood immediately. It is the perfect cover. It is our only chance, Jean corrected her. If we do not do it now, during the storm, we may never get another. That evening, as they picked up their nutrient paste, Deho the cook leaned forward. His face was tense. The stew is very hot today, he whispered, using their code for high alert. The officers are nervous. The storm is a bad one. They are all on the bridge. This was it. The officers were distracted. The ship was shaking slightly from the turbulence outside. The constant lights flickered for a second as they walked back to their cleaning area. They saw Sujin. She was waiting for them near a tool locker. Her hands were shaking. She did not speak. She simply looked at Myri and, with her finger, subtly traced 4 shapes on the side of her leg. A circle, a square, a triangle, and another circle. Then she turned and hurried away. Myri's mind, trained for this very thing, captured the image. She knew it was not the shapes, but the buttons they represented on the keypad. She nodded to Jean. They had the code. Their plan was simple and desperate. They would go now. They would use the chaos of the storm. They slipped away from their assigned area and moved quickly to the storage room on deck 6. The guard patrols were less frequent. The Kthar focused on keeping the massive ship stable. They reached the room unseen. In moments, they had the grate off and were crawling back into the dark, dusty duct. The ship shuddered around them, a great metal beast in pain. The duct vibrated, the metal groaning. It was terrifying, but it also covered any sound they made. They moved faster this time, knowing the way. They reached the grate above the secure corridor on deck 7 and looked down. The 2 guards were still there, but they were uneasy. They were looking at the ceiling, feeling the same shudders. Their attention was not on the door. Jean and Myri waited. They needed the guard change. It was their moment of maximum confusion. The ship gave a violent lurch. The lights flickered again, longer this time. Alarms blared somewhere in the distance. In the chaos, the new guards arrived for their shift. The 4 Kthar were talking loudly, their clicks and rumbles agitated. This was it. While the guards were distracted, Jean pushed the duct grate open. It was a risk, but the noise of the storm and the alarms covered the soft sound. He dropped down first, landing softly on the clean white floor. He turned and helped Myri down. They pressed themselves against the wall, in the shadow of a large console. The guards were only 10 meters away, but they were facing each other, arguing about the storm. Jean and Myri moved like ghosts along the wall, towards the huge circular door. There it was, the shimmering blue metal. Jean ran his fingers along the side of the doorframe, feeling for the hidden button. He found it, a small, recessed circle. He pressed it. The small panel slid open silently, revealing the keypad. He looked at Myri. She nodded, her face pale but determined. She leaned forward and pressed the sequence. Circle, square, triangle, circle. A green light flashed. With a soft hiss, the small, person-sized door within the larger one slid open. They slipped inside. The door closed behind them, sealing them in. They were in a small, dark antechamber. In front of them was another door, this one transparent. Through it, they could see a room pulsing with light. Towers of blinking consoles and racks of spinning data drives hummed with energy. And in the center of it all was a single, isolated console with a large main screen. This was the central comms relay. Jean went to the transparent door. It was locked. There was no hidden panel here. This was a simple electronic lock.